Hello there, viewer. If you had decided to have gotten Mug Club rather than relied on me, you would have gotten this significantly earlier than this upload. Stephen Crowder does offer additional benefits to Mug Club members, so it might be good for you to consider. Head over to Louder with Crowder and perhaps even join the Mug Club.
Go through all the effort of dancing. Get him. Show him.
There we go. There we go.
There you go. There you go. Look at him. He's a gamer. He's willing to come in and make it happen. Now, for those of you saying, what's happening? Let me fill you in. So our next guest, first off, you can follow him on Twitter at Master Zelox, Zelox, or for Canadians they say Zed.
Zed.
Which I've gotten into a fight with I'd gotten into a fight with my professor about that in school.
As you should have.
Correct me, Zed. And I said, well, hold on, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Zed.
And the teacher said, you're out.
You're out.
So that was about it. Our next guest is, there's a subculture classified as furries. Now, I had encountered these, you know this, at a Western Michigan flea market at one point, and I had no idea what was going on. So it's a subculture with, I guess there are a lot of misconceptions, and I have to be honest, I don't know exactly what the furry subculture is. Most people think it's a sex thing. I've heard it's not necessarily. But our next guest, actually, there are several different layers there because he is to the right of center of most furries, and so he's had to deal with some ostracization there. Sure. So, Master Zelox, thank you for being here, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you. So now, okay, Marley was dead to begin with, right? Let's set the stage here. I have to acknowledge when I don't know what I don't know. Explain to me the furry subculture. Is a lot of us think is it people who dress up like animals and go gangbusters?
No, that's a small portion, but
okay.
You'll find a small portion of most of anything in the subculture, actually.
Okay.
Furry essentially is anyone who identifies as such becomes or can integrate into the subculture. What a furry is someone who enjoys characters that have animals with human characteristics, also known as anthropomorphic characters.
Right.
And if you enjoy those characters in different mediums, movies, books, shows, all kinds of things, then you can self-identify with the label of furry and be one.
Okay, so now, are Master Zelox, or do you prefer Zelox Quo?
Zelox is fine.
Okay, Zelox, thank you. We'll be casual. Do you dress like this all the time? Like, do you work like this? Or do you go into work like this? Or is this something that you do as a hobby?
This is... okay, interesting question.
Okay.
It is a hobby. For some, it's a lifestyle. For others, it's a aspect of being for many.
Okay.
For me, I've been a furry since I was 12, the majority of my life. I created this costume myself, and I wear it on occasion, but only occasionally.
Okay, so you're not going to work, you're not going into your day job dressed as this.
Absolutely not.
Well, I don't know.
This isn't.
Here's what I will tell you: the weirdest thing that I had ever seen. I was afraid of flea market. Okay, and this was a person dressed up like a fox. Mm-hmm. But the weirdest part to me was this person was just going through a flea market, and I had never encountered this before, and. Not Gay Jerry knows this story, but he had the fox outfit, and then he had a button down and breeches over the fox outfit, like it was the fox's casual Friday. And I was going,
oh yes,
I didn't. So this is the fox in work clothes. Is that pretty common? Because we're several layers deep into the. Your guess is as good as mine at that point.
Human characteristics. It's wearing clothing.
Okay.
It doesn't need to. It has fur. It would be absolutely pointless and too hot.
Right.
But it has human characteristics.
Okay. So it seems to me like for a lot of people, this is more of at least even if it's a lifestyle, this isn't necessarily, you're not pushing legislatively to have furry bathrooms.
Oh.
It's fun. It's dress up. It's fun. Some people feel it's a release for some people.
Oh yes, it's escapism. It is enjoyment. It is for many a way to enjoy and express themselves.
Like Comic-Con.
Yes.
Okay. See, that doesn't sound so weird to me.
Yeah.
But, okay, yeah.
There are a lot of adults, and as a result, there are adult aspects of the subculture. Of course, you get these kind of things.
Well,
and
okay.
you will also find within the subculture a far more significant proportion of GLBTI, etc. individuals.
Yes. Well, that was going to be my follow-up question. What would you wager percentage-wise? Some people are into the whole furry thing just for the kinky stuff.
Just for the kinky stuff, I would say none.
Okay.
Because you are focusing solely on the kinky. You have to remember there is the enjoyment aspect, the personality, the enjoyment of animals. There's all of these other concepts.
Right. Okay. So for what would you say percentage-wise? Let me rephrase. Percentage-wise of people who are attracted to the sexual component to it more than the expression, the fun. Well, what would you say percentage-wise are people who are out there having fun, dressing up, versus people who are primarily attracted to, the furry sex parties?
I can't even pretend to imagine I could know that number, unfortunately.
Well, because this is how people perceive it, obviously, and a big part of it is because of the LGBTQ AAIP push. So I know, obviously, you don't. I don't believe you're a part of that community. You are more. How would you describe yourself? Conservative, libertarian, right-leaning?
I am a left-leaning libertarian, and I would describe myself as part of that group, actually.
Oh, really? Okay, I apologize. See, I got it wrong. Well,
no, that's entirely, no, it's fine.
Then why all the hate? Why are people so angry with you? I mean, I had to do some digging to make sure that none of the claims were true, and I see a Star of David there, Nazi, crazy alt-righter. This is what they've said to you about you, and I know you've had some backlash just for expressing different opinions. So if you are a part of that community, and you're a left-leaning libertarian, and you're a furry, why don't you get the hall pass?
In the furry subculture, the Overton window is so far left, and it was left to begin with. But in the last few years, ever since the election of Trump, it has been pushed further left and further authoritarian. Okay. As a result, anyone moderately left, centrist, libertarian, conservative, all of these individuals are getting targeted and told that they're Nazis, their views are bad, they need to leave the subculture.
Okay, so they want you. How do they dox a furry? Do they figure? I mean, do you all know each other's identities, or is it generally kept from each other in the community, and you only live under these kind of pseudonyms? How are they able to find you, or have they banned your furry identity character, as it were?
Yes, because the furry identity and character is you. It is your expression of self within the community.
Okay, so you couldn't But do some furries have different furry outfits, different furry characters?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
There are many who have multiple,
okay,
and they flip constantly, but you tend to know who they are.
So if you were to change, let's say, an outfit, if you were to build something, you'd think they would still know?
I wouldn't want to. Zelox is me.
Right. Well, yeah, you shouldn't listen. If you shouldn't have to, especially, I would think kind of the last bastion of safe space for being a little different would be freedom. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, I'm sure you and I don't line up on a whole lot, but I would think they should be taking anyone they can get, all encompassing. If this is bizarre, that's the most bizarre component of this to me, if you can believe that.
It has gotten to an extreme the last year or so, I would say. All kinds of interesting things have been happening in the subculture. The cutting back on freedom of speech and expression, there have been numerous individuals who've told jokes, and then from the jokes, they have had their panels and their events banned at furry conventions. And they can't present anymore, they can't run things because they've said an inappropriate joke once. Okay,
forgive me here, but you're dressed in, I don't know what this is. Is it a wolf sort of? What would you describe?
It's
Okay, well then I don't need to risk offending you.
I would say a hybrid, to give it a single word.
Okay, all right. So then I don't think you're the kind of guy who's easily offended. So let me put it this way: you're dressed in a hybrid wolf horn costume at a furry convention with other people, some of whom are having sex dressed in animal costumes. What could be considered a joke so offensive that it's ban-worthy?
Do you recall your Anne Frank jokes video?
Yes.
That would be it.
Really?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Not a high tolerance for the Anne Frank genre of humor, the furries?
If you went to a furry convention, I believe you would be called a Nazi.
Oh, I have no doubt, yeah.
the categorization of Nazis is so extreme that there is an individual, Len Gilbert. He's written a book, Out of the Ruins. The main character of this book is a soldier from our world who's transported to a furry world, and many anthropomorphic creatures around there. The character happens to be a part of the World War II German army.
Okay.
In this fictional book, he is now a Nazi.
Right.
He's been doxxed, harassed. His work's been called all kinds of horrible things.
Because of the book?
Yes.
Like The Last Furry Castle? A script writer for that would be banned?
Potentially.
Gosh.
I don't know what they'd think of Das Boot.
Okay, let's make sure to clear the air here, because you'll have people say you're a Nazi. Let me make sure. You don't hate Jews, correct?
No.
You don't believe anyone is racially inferior?
No.
You don't believe in nationalized socialism to the great nation of Germany under Mein Führer?
No.
Okay, so listen, folks. I did my due diligence. Passes the sniff test. There's a lot of other questions that I'm sure I'd be a little bewildered with the answers. Well, let me ask you this too, because I know, having done some research, and listen, I'm sure you can appreciate that. For me, this is going into a dark internet wormhole. Some of this stuff. I did find out that there's an alignment. Thank you, I appreciate your candor. An alignment with Antifa and the furries. It almost like you see this kind of with pussy hats and Black Lives Matter and March for 15. It's this odd amalgamation, and it seems like that's permeated the furry community as far as political activism. Am I getting that right? Why?
Absolutely, you are. In fact, it's not just activism. It is recruiting and attempting to prove that they're right. And it has gotten to the point where one of the major furry subculture specific websites broke its own terms of service to change a code of conduct instantly without warning, to remove several groups of people and several people who have been performing things off-site that they didn't agree with.
Okay. And now and they're banning them because they're banning
Oh yes,
them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's primarily two groups, the Furry Raiders and Alt Furry. Now, Alt Furry, the name is a joke. It's a parody of the alt-right on purpose. And the Furry Raiders are a group of furry individuals who are friends.
Well, where does Furry Raiders come from? I'm going to have to call you on that. What's the meaning to Furry Raiders?
It comes from Second Life. It was founded in Second Life, and they would raid particular areas and do some trollish type jokes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
And they're all Nazis because they wear an armband with the paw print on it. The head of the Furry Raiders, Foxler, who in reality is a half-Thai man who's in a homosexual relationship with a black guy, is the subculture's definition of Hitler.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that. And here's the thing: usually we have some kind of a call to, like, I don't think there's much we can do to help you.
Oh no, but being able to talk about this at all is assistance.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I'd be like, like Free Tommy Robinson. We just came off that. It's like, listen, I don't know the Thai guy. I don't know his gay black lover. And I know nothing. So there's nowhere I can direct people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
A good example of you speaking of Antifa in the furry subculture would, again, be back to Fur Affinity. They have been banning people who have been speaking out against domestic terrorist recruiting on site.
Right.
Because one thing is true about furries. They are mostly disenfranchised social outcasts.
I would imagine, yeah.
As a result, it's a very palatable area for this kind of ideology to recruit from. They're in an area trying to have escapism, trying to enjoy themselves, the perfect place for propaganda to take place.
I would imagine, and a lot of people are going to give me flack for this, I would imagine that the prototypical furry is someone who is probably a social outcast, like you said, probably very intelligent, as opposed to social outcasts who might join gangs or who might just turn to drugs. This is probably somebody who's an outcast with an overly active, creative mind, and so this is an outlet, it's a way to express themselves where they feel safe. So I would imagine that would be fertile recruiting grounds, because you're looking for people who are, a lot of people can become charismatic in character or in another
yes,
identity.
Absolutely.
And my brother was that way, and a lot of comics I used to work with were very, very nervous before going on stage, and they had these personas, and they were incredibly intelligent, but a lot of them were very needy, and I would imagine that's probably very similar with a lot of people. Hold on.
But practical question, how do you beat the summers? Because it's hot as Satan's butt crack down here, and I don't think you'd see many furries in Texas.
That's true. What do you do?
Come to Australia. We have incredibly hot summers, which I believe are worse than Texas occasionally.
Yeah.
And what you do is, in the large fursuits, if you happen to see them, fursuits are a furry subculture-specific term for the mascot costumes designed of your character.
Okay.
You have a couple of fans.
Okay. Thank you.
And you live with it.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, I appreciate the explanation, but that's kind of what I would have guessed fursuits meant. I mean, it's not like there was a curveball. Okay, well, all right. So there we go. So, and they would probably have they have some kind of a fanning mechanism in there.
Yes. There's a couple of computer fans usually in the muzzle area.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate it. Listen, I would love to have you back. And first off, legislatively, the second if furries start pushing for different bathrooms or teaching kids about furrydom, I'm going to have some disagreements, and I think you understand that. We've had kind of the same relationship with Blair White, but I hate to hear that you're ostracized from a community just for having different views, certainly as a more left-leaning libertarian. So you are at Master Zelox, Zelox, and do educate. Come back. This has been illuminating for me. Even if I don't get it, even if I'm not on board with all of it, I appreciate you helping us out, understanding this.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, man. Stay safe, and we'll talk with you sometime soon. We have to go out. Now, not get your show dance now. Let's catch up.